Old School Lane Casual Chats is brought to you by oldsschoollane.blogspot.com and is associated with Channel Frederator, Manic Expression, The Comic Book Cast, and The Arun Mehta Show.
That looks tasty.
Nickelodeon.
Now you're scoring high.
Every way you're never done.
Checking out everything you can buy.
Every day you're never done.
Jumping on that silver screen.
Never done, you're never done.
Helping big and playing clean.
Never done to Nickelodeon.
Who's
that?
A football head and a pigtailed brat.
Get loud.
Do your lick and do it proud.
It ain't all slick. It's all you.
And
it's all
Nickelodeon. Feel that rhythm and grab that beat.
Every way you're never done.
Shouting, stomping on the street.
Every day you're never done.
On screen, page, and on the run.
Never done, you're never done.
Never done do Nickelodeon.
Never done do Nickelodeon.
Never done do Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Casual Chats. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with a few special guests, returning from the first time in, I would say, like almost 3 years, I think. So we have Scott Barber. Welcome, Scott.
Yeah, I think last time we spoke, Adam and I just done our crowdfunding campaign. Maybe 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, just about. About almost 2 years, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for having us back. It's awesome.
Yeah, and joining from who couldn't appear last time, who is the other guy behind the Orange Years, we have Adam Sweeney. Welcome, Adam.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, and we're really excited to get to be back. So thank you, Patricia.
Absolutely. And also joining us, we have the animator behind the Orange Years. We have Jeff Johnson. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you very much for having me. It's exciting to be able to talk about the film now.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, we have one of the many people who appears on the Orange Years, as well as one of the producers. You may know her as one of the cast members from all that. We have Alisa Reyes. Welcome, Alisa.
Hey, what's up, Patricia? What's up, everybody? Great to be here.
All right, so yeah, it's been almost like 2-3 years since we've had Scott on the show discussing about the Orange Years, and around that time, it was nothing more than just a crowdfunding campaign to get it happening. So, in between our interview and what's going on now with your big premiere coming up soon, so tell us everything about what happened since then.
What's been going on since we were successful with the crowdfunding campaign 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
A lot. We went on an amazing journey. Met a lot of awesome people. We went to Los Angeles twice. We met the lovely Alisa Reyes, and we've got to do a lot of great work with her. She's come on board as a producer of the film and has just killed it. Done so much amazing stuff. We got to meet so many of our childhood heroes. Los Angeles twice, New York once. We went to Canada, and then a few other cities just for some pickup shoots. We interviewed over 30 people from 80s and 90s Nickelodeon. We got to do New York Comic-Con last year. We got to premiere the trailer on Twitch. That was awesome, and just a lot of super awesome stuff. We got to work with Jeff, who's been a friend of mine since high school. He did some amazing animation for it. We just got to work with a great team, and it's just been a super awesome adventure.
Awesome. And how about you, Adam?
I kind of echo what Scott has to say. We've been extremely fortunate whenever we first started. Whenever this project first kind of came as a germinal idea between me and Scott, who's been a childhood friend and just he really is brilliant. We had a vision of what we hoped it would be. The fact that we were first-time filmmakers, we both have we've written screenplays that have gotten produced before, but we haven't, this is the first time moving into the feature film kind of arena as documentarians, but also just as narrative filmmakers also in the future. But so we had a vision, and there was, wouldn't it be great if we were able to get like all the members of All That, and Melissa Joan Hart, and Larissa Olenek, and Dean Tamborelli, Michael C. Morona, and Mark Summers, and Geraldine Laybourne, blah blah blah. But we also recognize that it's like that is such a huge mountain to climb. So we were like, well, okay, maybe we tell an amazing story if we're lucky, and then we will get who we get, right? And so then we wanted to have a vision of something that wasn't just talking heads and interviews, but also animation and the behind the scenes stories. And it really, like you hear the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so if this is our first child when it comes to storytelling, we've been incredibly lucky, and it came from people like Jeff, who's been incredible. Alisa has gone above and beyond, and we really couldn't have been able to make this. We couldn't have been able to make this film without them. And so the journey has been incredible. We've been really fortunate, and I feel like Scott and I have grown together creatively, but also as friends. And I mean, I feel incredibly lucky, and I think that Nickelodeon fans are going to be beyond thrilled with what they get.
That sounds great. And Jeff, when you were called in to do this documentary, what kind of experience did you have of animation before you got to do it? And what was the style and the inspiration for you to do your animated segments for the documentary?
Well, in terms of experience, like professionally, I've done freelance and just my own little projects for years and years and years. So I wouldn't say it was my first rodeo or anything, but it's definitely the biggest project that I've worked on so far. So it's been really exciting, especially to kind of have carte blanche to do whatever I want. I was given some clips from the Orange Years and just basically told to do whatever I wanted, go crazy on it. And, as far as influences and where the style comes from, not just because we're talking about a Nickelodeon documentary, but the Nicktoons. I mean, that's probably my biggest influence. I've been drawing since I was, 5 or 6 years old, probably. But when 1992 came around and shows like Ren and Stimpy and the Rugrats and Doug and just that whole animation revolution came about, that's what really solidified, what I kind of do on paper. So it was real easy, and it seemed like that style really kind of fit what Scott and Adam were doing with the film.
Yeah, it sounds great. And I did see pictures as well as the new footage that you guys released regarding about what the trailer, what the documentary looks like, and it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely what the fans have been wanting to see and learn about when it comes to classic Nick. So Alisa, I'm actually curious. I'm sure that some of our followers would like to know. Now, when you were called in to be interviewed for the documentary, when did you decide to also become a producer as well?
I've been in this business for over 20 years, and being able to start off on such an iconic show, All That on Nickelodeon, created by Brian Robbins, who's now the president of Nickelodeon. Shout out to him. I feel like the ensemble that I came from, such as Kenan Thompson, who's now on SNL and who's doing great things. He just won an Emmy. I come from such a great family in regards to the Nickelodeon fan base that it just made sense to be in alignment and frequency with Scott and Adam and Jeff and Billy and all of these guys. When I got asked to be a part of the documentary, I knew that there were certain pieces of the puzzle that needed to be, maybe just sprinkled with a little love and light. And I was able to kind of be what I call the connector a little bit, and kind of just add a little accoutrements to it. And with that, and the group that we have, we just created really something magical for the fans that are part of this nostalgia. So, I'm not only an on-camera actress, I'm also a voiceover actress. I play the voice of La Cienega on the Disney Channel, The Proud Family, as well. And so, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. So producing has been something I've been doing for a while now, as long as writing and working on a multitude of projects. So this just made sense, and it's been amazing thus far.
Sounds great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to know from both you, Scott and Adam, now for some of you some of the listeners who are probably wondering how to make a documentary, what are the steps behind doing it?
Scott, you want to go first, buddy?
Sure. So what are the steps behind making a documentary? Okay, so I would say the first things first is, have a vision for what you want to do. That was, you can make a documentary about anything these days. We're kind of in this documentary boom. Everybody's making documentaries, and they're all over the place with Netflix and Hulu. Make sure you have something there that has a really cool story, and not the story you want to tell, but also be fluid. We certainly had an idea for the story that we wanted to tell with this, and we were thinking, what could we make a documentary about? And we had thought Nickelodeon, and okay, there's definitely a story here that people don't know, because we want to give people some nostalgia, but we also want to give them new information and a new story. Yeah. And so that's what I would say is one, know what your story is, and make sure it's compelling, and also certainly changed a lot from what we originally were going to tell. It got a lot better, a lot more intricate, a lot more twists and turns.
Yeah.
And then, that's definitely, I would say, step one. That's the biggest thing right there. If you've got a good story, the rest of the pieces are going to fall into place. And make sure you have a good team. Like Adam kind of said before, it takes a village. Don't try to do everything yourself. Have a solid cinematographer. We had a great cinematographer on this, Sean Cawthon, and some other guys as well that were great camera people. When we went to Canada, we used some camera people there, and they were amazing. And then, our editorial team, people like Jeff, our producers, all of our producers serve different roles, so I would say that'd be another step, is assemble a really good team. So everybody's kind of got their own specialty thing, and, independent film, of course, you've got to wear different hats, but, get a good team together, have fun, there's a bunch of boring stuff that we could probably talk about, like budget, but, make sure you don't spend all your money. Make sure you're gonna, you budget things out correctly, so what you got to spend money on. And with ours, certainly one thing was, making sure we were okay to use all these Nickelodeon clips. That was one thing I would say. If you are gonna make a documentary about something, make sure you have somebody on your team that understands the legality of that. Mm-hmm. And then, have fun, make something really cool.
Yeah, I would say that a couple of things are make yourself and your team, make sure you guys are indispensable. And what I mean by that is there are times whenever you're. I mean, it's a learning process, right? And we have all grown from this leaps and bounds. And one of the things that Scott and I talked a lot about is from day one, the ability to believe in ourselves and believe in each other and the rest of the team, and have confidence in yourself, right? Because there are going to be plenty of people that will perhaps think that it's not possible, and you never know what you're able to accomplish, right? I mean, had it just been Scott and me, I mean, Scott, I'll say it a million times, he never ceases to amaze me, but that said, everything kind of came and fell into place, getting to work with Alisa, getting to work with Jeff, getting to tell this story, and that came from just having a vision, like Scott said, but also daring to dream greatly, I think. Mm-hmm. And people helped with that dream. So I agree with everything that Scott said.
That sounds great. So I want to ask a question for all of you. So, without giving any major spoilers away, so what was your favorite? What was your favorite part of the documentary? Like your favorite experience, whether it be like traveling to a certain location or interviewing a certain guest. I'd like to know from all of you.
Who wants to go first there?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it was kind of like an out-of-body experience when I was like hanging out with Josh and I was hanging out with Lori Beth, and it was kind of surreal just being together all at the same time because that doesn't happen often. I haven't seen my cast members. I see them once in a blue moon, unless we do events or whatnot. But to sit down and kind of visit memory lane and to ponder back and really go, you know what? We really had a great life. And to really just sit back and remember all these great memories and then be able to share it with the fans. When, unfortunately, when I was on TV, social media wasn't popping. So if we had social media, then I can only imagine. So, we were really interactive with our fans. After every episode, we literally, after every taping, signed autographs for every person that sat in the audience. People don't do that anymore. Now you have to go through an ordeal to meet your favorite celebrity or whatnot. So this is a really intimate moment for fans to really find out what transpired. And that's why I had to hop on it. But I would say that was one of my favorite moments. And then just being able, for me to be able to contact people that I haven't spoken to in forever. And then the love and support they gave to us was amazing, and that alone just shows the love with the Nickelodeon era, and hence why we called it the Orange Years. It just made sense, which I love the title of it, So that's my story. That's my comment.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Personally, for me, I know what it's like for a major celebrity or somebody famous coming on by, and then a whole group of people are wanting to meet that person. I don't want to give any major spoilers away, but I recently helped with stagehand in a huge production that's going to be airing on TV soon, and
awesome.
Yeah, my very first experience, to be quite honest, ever since I got back to school, for my broadcast journalism major. But the thing that I that I realized when seeing it is that there are people who are very protective of their people who are famous because there's a bunch of crowding and people want to take pictures and have autographs and such, and
sure.
there's a limit to that. And I was able to learn and see from my experience as not from just the perspective of somebody from the audience, but as for somebody who works in that particular industry, even just for a little bit, just seeing for the first time about how how much of a big deal it is and about how far we've come in terms of you want to meet the person that influenced you or inspired you, and there has to be a lot of personal space, and I can completely understand on why that has to be nowadays.
Sure, totally makes sense.
Anyway, so who wants to go next?
Jeff, you want to go?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I think for me it was some of the coolest experiences working on the Orange Years, because I was kind of working on the periphery, on the edges of the thing. I wasn't there for any of the interviews or any of the hands-on stuff, but I had the benefit of kind of living vicariously through some of the stories that Scott would tell me. I remember he would come back from one of the first ones he came back from LA, and when we were kids, we were huge into Salute Your Shorts in particular. So he went out to LA and got to interview Danny Cooksey for the film. And I remember he called me one night and he was just like, dude, I went to Budnick's house. It was so good because both of our brains were just exploding at the idea of hanging out with Budnick, because we would jam Bad for Good records in the car when we were 15 and 16 years old. So it was great. So I think stuff like that, or hearing that he would get calls from Mark Summers, that's still, on some level kind of surreal. And so that kind of thing was really cool for me. And as far as the working process, for me, going back to, being given complete control and carte blanche to do whatever I want. I mean, that's so rare, and it was just a really nice thing to be able to do. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a great experience as well.
Oh man, I mean, I think, we definitely, it's funny because I think Scott and I both, having been in the entertainment industry before, I did it as more as a journalist to start. So I've been really fortunate to meet a lot of people, a lot of extraordinary talent in the past. But I would say that there's a big difference between meeting talent that you have a ton of respect for, and then having this kind of out of body experience where you're meeting people that you grew up with through the television medium, right? So I mean, it was crazy meeting Alisa, right? It was crazy meeting it's crazy meeting Larissa Olina, and everyone expression or blah blah blah. And we're like, we all did, right? Like, and so, but I would say that the greatest experience has been to get to see what we imagined in our heads and on paper and on a computer, and getting to watch all the pieces fall into place, right? I mean, the first time that I got to see the rough cut, and we took a look at it, and it wasn't just pieces that we were looking at individually, or getting to see Jeff's animation, like combined with the interviews. I mean, it just brought it to life in a way, this small idea into this thing that's bigger than we could have ever imagined. And of course, I mean, the ability to work with work with a college friend, that's a blessing. And so those would be my answers.
That sounds great. Absolutely. I'm gonna, wrap things up because not only, I want everybody to see this documentary when it first comes out, but we don't want to give too many major spoilers. So,
sure.
Just a couple of more questions. So, what was something in the documentary that you wanted to have but you couldn't because either of time constraints or budget constraints, or maybe they weren't available, or maybe you couldn't make it to the location in time? So, yeah, what was something that you wanted to have but it couldn't for some reason?
Do you guys care? Can I answer that?
Sure,
go ahead. That?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the only one that it really bummed me out was we were going to get Dave. We were trying to get Dave Coulier, but he was on a show called was a very early Nickelodeon show that not a lot of people remember, but it was technically their first live action scripted show. Some of our producers had worked on Ghost Heads, which is a Ghostbuster documentary, and he did the voice of Venkman on that. So we were so close to getting Uncle Joey, Dave Coulier, but it didn't happen.
Cut it out.
He did that on Nickelodeon before he did that on
Full House.
On Full House. So Cut It Out technically started on Nickelodeon, but alas, no Uncle Joey. Big time bummer. Oh
yeah,
well.
I think I remember hearing a long time ago that the show that you're talking about, by the way, is it's called Out of Control. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yes.
But the flip side of that I will say is, kind of to mention what Adam had said earlier. The amount of people that we did get is crazy. That's why it's hard to answer that question, because we got everybody.
Well, it's Alisa. I have to say, I know Scott will agree. We wanted Alanis really bad.
Oh, wow.
Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, that was great. We did.
She would have been awesome to have as well, for...
Which is kind of funny, the two people that we wish we got were Alanis and Dave Coulier. I think those two actually dated.
No way!
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You Ought to Know was allegedly inspired by their relationship. So who knew?
Stop.
You gotta be kidding me.
That's the story.
It's true.
No.
It's legit. It probably was about Uncle Joey.
I will hear that song completely differently now.
Love stories have been, I think.
Oh my God,
that's amazing.
I would say really quickly, I know we got to wrap, but the one that I would say that I was bummed about, and that I think Scott was as well, is Toby Huss.
Yes.
Yeah. who played Artie. I mean, he's done so much more. He actually was just recently in David Gordon Green's Halloween as Allison Schroed's father, Ray. And he played Artie on The Adventures of Pete and Pete. And,
Yes.
and it's funny because you can talk to him as a fan, right? And he's very receptive. And whenever we were doing the crowdfund, like, I was like, he is the guy that we have to get because I just love his work. And we went out of our way and, like, we were dressing up as Artie for Halloween and, like, sending it to him and stuff. And he was, like, responding and saying in Artie voice, right? He's like, not that boy. And you're just like, I mean, but it's just, he's also, you know, I mean, much like everybody, right? I mean, we were lucky to get Alisa. We were lucky. I mean, everybody has schedules. And with that said, like Scott pointed out, the amount of people that we got. I mean, we got pretty much, if you don't count Dave Coulier, Lana Thorne, everybody else that you could think of from Nickelodeon that you fell in love with and you're still in love with in the documentary.
For sure.
That's great, yeah. So, please, I would like for you to, plug and promote the documentary, which will be premiering in New York pretty soon.
Yeah.
This Thursday, yeah.
And I want to thank you guys for the poster. I did donate for the campaign, and
thank you.
I have it hanging up on my wall right now, so I really do appreciate it.
Aww.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
So, so I think that for anybody who's interested, once again, the documentary is called The Orange Years. You can check it out this Thursday in New York City. All information will be in the description box below. So, for you guys, please plug and promote your stuff.
All right, if you want to follow me on social media, my name's Alisa, A-L-I-S-A, last name R-E-Y-E-S, Reyes. I'm on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all the whole kit and caboodle. But make sure to really follow the Orange Years. We are on Instagram. We are on social media across the board. And check out orangeyears.com. You can see the teaser, the trailer, everything.
All right.
Jeff, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've got Facebook and Instagram under Jeff Johnson Art. Pretty easy to spell, pretty easy to find. Excited for the premiere. Got some more projects in the pipeline, and just stoked to share it with everybody.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, I can let Adam go. I have social media. Sure, you can certainly find me. But, the Orange Years, if you look up the Orange Years on Facebook, that's a good way to keep up with what we're doing. We got the orangeyears.com and just orangeyears.com because people kept putting in the wrong address. Please follow the Orange Years because we're going to have some really exciting stuff come up. Obviously not everyone can go to New York and everyone's asking us, when can I see this? When can I see this? And we can't answer that right now, but hopefully soon we can. So the quickest way to get that answer is to follow the Orange Years on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and just so we'll let you know on those platforms as soon as we have something.
Okay, sounds great. And, if you guys are going to be doing another project, whether it be another documentary or a film or whatever, I'd love to have you guys back on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.
That'd be amazing.
Adam, did you...
Oh, sure. First and foremost, follow at The Orange Years on Facebook, at The Orange Years on Instagram. We're starting to ramp it up and do weekly, just giveaways of prizes that we have, as well as other really, really cool merch. And then if you want to, you can follow me on at Adam Sweeney. It's SWENEY on Instagram. And thank y'all. Thanks for the follow. And I'm sure that we would love to check out everybody else's projects that podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Let us know in the comments below if you are going to go over to the Orange Years screening. If you are listening to this by the time it's over, then please share your thoughts on what you thought of it. And that's it, everybody. Hope to see you around soon, and take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Patricia.
Thanks.
Like Nicky's kid.